Good evening, gentlemen. Great to see you all. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have three liquid legends, and let's just go around the room and introduce ourselves. We'll start with Tommy.
All right. Well. Before that, I'll just say that you're definitely a liquid legend too, man. Like you've done things for this dance that no one else has, and yeah, man, it's definitely good to be here, and I'm glad you invited us. My name is Tommy Von Flowington. I'm a liquid dancer. I do several other styles, but that's my main one.
My dance name is Distortion. Scott is my real name, and I'm originally from the East Coast, Philadelphia, Jersey. Spent a lot of time in Chicago, and I've been doing liquid since around 2000, and other styles as well, but liquid has always been number one.
Yeah, my name is Liquid Kevin. I'm half Japanese, live in Japan at the moment. Yeah, my main style is liquid. I've been doing it for a while now. And yeah, it's great to be in this interview.
And for those who don't already know, my name's David Heller, aka Dr. Moose. I've been dancing since the summer of 1999. I started with breaking, and then in 2001, after attending my first rave, I got really deep into liquid dance. I've been doing both styles ever since. And I saw liquid for the first time. I didn't know what it was, and they were like, "Yeah, this is liquid, and we're gonna go to a rave." And I'm like, "What's a rave?" And like a month later, they take me to my first rave in Kansas City, Missouri, and everybody is moving like they're made of water, and it was just insane. Everybody was dancing, and that was the first time that I ever saw like high level liquid right there in front of me.
I started towards the end of 2006 and 2007, and first place I saw was the internet because I just started going to raves, and at that time, the rave scene for the entire country was not very big or very busy. It was a kind of a shadow of what it is today. I saw Liquid Clip from Liquid Pop Eric. One of the first, along with a tutorial video from this guy named BitSmart. And then the first time that I saw it in person was at the Detroit Electronic Music Festival, which that was in the spring of 2007. That used to be kind of a meetup for most of the liquid dancers in America. That all that happened within the span of like a few years. So
Nice.
The way that I found liquid and the first few years of me doing liquid, I did not really go to raves at first. I found it through, high school. Well, I found it the way I did, but then I kind of like found a bigger group of people through like my after school, high school, dance group. So the first or more years of, 6 years or so of my liquid dance career, was very removed from the rave culture. I had a taste of it here and there, but I was doing it outside of that and like getting into, like I would go to b-boy battles and bring it there and like, try and perform it in places where, it just hadn't had a foothold yet, and yeah, coming to Chicago and linking up with like Tommy, Kai. Plain White Tom. That was really like my rave days,
Kevin, where and when did you see Liquid for the first time?
At the time, I was living in Australia actually, and so I was doing breakdancing for a while. Then I go into popping because of it, and so I was doing like lots of waves and like animation and stuff. Then I came across like everyone else, Liquid Pop's Eric's arcade clip. So I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever. So I wanted to do it, and I go into it. Came to Japan for the college. Start talking to actual liquid dancers and getting better.
Let's return to Tiny for a moment, like, cause like we can't gloss over his contributions. Like his crew was pretty much like the first one, like even before the LPC. Like Tiny and the Liquid Lights crew, those guys were taking glow sticks especially, and doing all these crazy light shows. And Tiny basically just put the lights down one day and just came up with all these different finger styles and sub styles of Liquid as part of it.
My original name is Razvan Gorea. I'm Romanian. My dance name is Tiny Love. Yeah.
Do you know about what year you saw Liquid first time, or maybe like the earliest?
Like around 92, 93, something like that. In Limelight, they used to have a circle of dancers, and they would like pass the flow and do the liquid.
What's pass the flow mean?
Pass the flow, like let's say I do my dance, and then I'm creating this flow, and then I pass the flow. I give you that energy, and then you get into the middle and you do your thing and you pass it. Basically, that's how a circle works, And when you dance, it's like people pass the flow to each other. It's like some type of Tai Chi we do unconsciously.
So yeah, Tiny is the oldest Liquid dancer as far as like we know of. There were people doing it before him, of course, but he's the only one to actually stick around. And I don't know, he also might have been one of the first to do tutorials. He sold DVDs with a friend of his called Hypno, and around the same time that I found out about the LPC tutorials, I also had that. I still have it somewhere, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Fu Manchu. Real name's Edward Hickman. I've been dancing since the summer of 1994, mostly in the New York, New Jersey scene. Do a lot of different street styles, but I'm primarily known for doing liquid. A dance style specifically probably heavily influenced by an older style, waving, but where you specifically dance with your hands. First time I ever danced was brought to an underground party, a rave. And this was at the very beginning of the rave scene, so things were really lovely. Everyone was very friendly and nice, and the music was interesting, unlike anything I'd heard up until that point. we used to have a saying back then where it was, you just leave your worries at the door. Whatever your problems are, whatever's going on, you just leave them at the door. It was almost all to really hard, either quad bass, some type of 4/4 beat, you know, what they used to call techno.
I've contributed, I think, a lot to making Liquid more moving around, using your feet more with it. I've added like a lot, I would say, sub-styles to Liquid by mixing the idea of mixing styles. Like we were just talking about Liquid Tuts. I have my own form of it where it's all wrist-based. So I'm following kind of like a tut pattern grid and doing different shapes. Again, like this is considered liquid tutting, something I invented. I'm still doing liquid, but I'm also kind of keeping the idea of a tut using also the lines of the grid.
I learned pretty quickly that the ones that were more illusion based were the ones that I liked more. You know, the tricking of the eye, the doing something with your body that other people see and go, that's not supposed to happen, you know, and when you do something that makes someone go like, ooh, that's kind of gross, you know what I mean? Like that, all that stuff was always more the draw for me than like, you know, seeing like a b-boy do a crazy power move or like just, you know, just a lot of other styles I can appreciate. You know, I love watching good house dance. I love watching a good locker. But at the same time, it's the illusion aspect. And I think Liquid gives you one of the highest, if not the highest, spaces of opportunity to play with when it comes with creating illusion.
Yeah, I definitely feel that on a lot of levels. When I first saw Liquid in front of me, I was just bugged out. I was just like, what am I looking at? Like, how the hell did they morph their hands and their fingers and their bodies into these crazy shapes?
The thing that drew me into Liquid, other than the fact that it's a hand-based style, for me, I thought it was like more connected to music. Like you have like a spiritual connection to the music almost. Like when you're flowing, like connecting to the music, almost like you are like a DJ and like mixing one record to your flows, like mixed together.
I love your connections to liquid and electronic music and all of the different subcategories of it. You know, on one side you have the 4-on-4 trance, house, techno, and then on the other side you have the syncopated beats like breaks, drum and bass, even later on dubstep and trap and all the different, you know, subcategories. Music has always been like one of the staple, you know, connections between Liquid. Yeah, Tommy, what is it about Liquid that drew you into it more?
So for me, it was a couple things, maybe three. First would be, I think it's it being adjacent to rave culture, something I was just getting into and forming a great amount of love and admiration for. But going back to that, the tutorial, that for me was kind of like one of the bigger sparks that got me into it, because it was the first time that I had seen a dance style broken down. And not only that, but into like pieces that like I could see myself. I was like, oh, that's not as hard as I thought it was.
Rail, to range in a line. In order to give the illusion substance, it sometimes helps to run the illusion along rails. This is accomplished through the use of imaginary paths along which your flow can travel.
It kind of broke it down in a way that made it very approachable and relatable. It was the first time that I saw dance as a language. It was the first time that I saw dance as math. I come from a tech background, so like those things are a lot more familiar to me than what dance is usually pushed in America as this mostly social thing.
One thing that I do appreciate though is that those were the first like step by step kind of breakdown. Like you mentioned math, like the mathematical or methodical process. It is something that's learnable. For me and a lot of folks in the beginning, I just learned by pure observation. You know, I didn't have any dance studio training or anything like that until years and years and years later. And it really wasn't until I actually started hanging out with folks like you all who had basically taken the concepts of liquid and its foundations and developed, dare I say, a language that's shareable. Or, you know, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily codified, but there is definitely an agreed upon series of concepts and terminology that we can say, yeah, that's liquid.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the most important kind of ways I view liquid is as a literal language. I don't think people view dance in that way enough.
Dance to the beat, jump for my feet. Dance to the beat, jump for my feet.
So this actually brings me into my next question. How do each of you define liquid? It's a pretty abstract and challenging question, I think, to ask. And every time I talk to different dancers, they have a slightly different understanding of what it is. But there's definitely some commonalities and themes. So, Scotty?
So in terms of, you know, what I think liquid is, I think liquid is, you know, hand flow that is, you know, expanded to a more full body kind of thing. And like, what is hand flow? Well, hand flow is a connection between two hands with like sort of this steady flow, continuous, you know, it could be stopped and restructured. But I think when I'm trying to explain liquid, I try to leave out the digits part at first. And I try to put the explanation of liquid sort of in the box of just utilizing hand flow and not utilizing too much digits. Just because it's easier to explain to a newbie at that point. And then, so it's, you know, it's hand flow, but it's kind of blown up and incorporating arm flow, covering space with the idea of this connection between two hands and sort of like a steady, you know, we use hand waves a lot, but we don't have to use hand waves. There's sort of different, like, other methods people use. You know, there is like a more philosophical, deeper level thing that I associate liquid with. That's kind of my personal belief. And I think everyone has their own version of this. And mine is kind of that liquid is like this sort of entity, like this little creature of energy that has a mind of its own. And it has its own sort of properties to it. And you can sort of pick what those properties are. It's almost like stepping into a animation character or something, right? But if, you know, a simple thing we talk about is like liquid having weight. So if I throw my liquid this way and pull it back, the weight of the liquid forces me to go that way.
Yep.
You know, if I bump it that way and bump it back, like there's physics to it. For me, there is a lot of sort of leaning into this idea that I have to respect what the characteristics are that I've created for this creature, this living, you know, entity that's running through my body and running around, and I'm chasing it, and you know what I mean?
You know, what Scotty's talking about just made me remember something that I forgot as well. And I know Kevin has mentioned this before too, but you know, I said before that it has a lot in common with mine, but it also has a lot in common with Tai Chi. But when you look at Tai Chi and the consistency of their movements, how they're able to keep a constant speed, doing stuff like that, like adds that kind of weight and texture and stuff that Scotty was talking about. And you can add any kind of like physical property from any real object or imagined object you want through your liquid, like he was saying.
Yeah, so like there's a thing with that I use like recycling energy. And so it's like with waving, there's like this energy that moves from point to point. There's sort of entry exit point a lot of the times, and they recycle it too a lot. But With liquid, it's almost like we're taking that energy, and like the challenge is to like keep that energy going in a logical way forever, right? And it's a much more difficult task to take on, in my opinion.
This is one of the main differences that I think sets liquid apart from most other dance styles. Liquid theoretically has no end. You can just keep it going forever. For me personally, I think liquid is the continuous flow of energy and a response to your music and the environment. And it's also a dance form that I think bridges the gap between styles and one another. I think it's an incredibly amazing connective dance form where you can literally have a conversation with someone halfway across the room and just get their attention by locking them into your flow, and then all of a sudden you've got somebody bugged out watching you. Or if they're a dancer, they will respond back by, passing the flow with you or sharing that experience with you, which we'll do later, like towards the end of the interview.
Yeah, for me, liquid is moving energy. So energy can be anything. So it can be water, it can be just like energy like a tai chi, like a chi kind of thing. To be able to put that into an illusion is a fun part for me, for liquid. So liquid is like a moving energy, and you doing pantomiming over energy basically. And then if you want to be technical, there are the 2 points that you want to be thinking about when you're doing liquid. You have to maintain connection and continuous movement. So those two are the main rules, but other than that you can do anything with it. Yeah, that's my thought on liquid.
Nice. Tommy?
Well, I mean, mine isn't too much different from Kevin's. I do get a little bit more technical with it, but and from my perspective, liquid communicates two things. One being geometry. Talked about, energy and space, like all of those are synonymous. People may not think of those things as geometry, but they do have a shape to them. And alongside geometry, we communicate flow, which is basically like any sequence or connection between things. So again, it has a lot in common with mime, whereas mime, moves around geometry by making kind of connections between different parts of their body. Liquid does the same thing, but alongside that, we communicate flow, which can be anything from kind of like one hand following the other to, one body part reacting off another. So like twists, this up and down, or the possibilities are endless. Basically, anything that your audience is going to see as a sequence of events or a connected sequence of events can be flow. All flow can be utilized by liquid dance.
Full disclosure, none of us are advocating in any way, shape, or form the use of psychedelic or mind-altering substances. Don't do drugs. Okay. It is important to acknowledge that these things are around in the rave scene, especially as it is connected to how liquid came about. But do folks need to do these things to become a high-level liquid dancer? No. What was their impact on liquid and why?
All right, so we're talking about the rave scene, and obviously anyone who knows or knows a lot about the rave scene or has experienced the rave scene firsthand knows that drugs and mind-altering substances, these things are going to be present there, and definitely there have been some dancers, myself included, who have used these things and come to different conclusions about how useful they are and what they do for you. And I think the older you get and the more refined you get with your dance, I I think you can look back on what those things did in terms of creativity. There has been maybe some doors opened here and there, but there's also been, negative effects from them as well. I wouldn't necessarily recommend anyone take that path.
You can take a look at what's been happening in Western medicine in the last decade or two as just a prime example of, like, if you use these things in the right way as a tool, there can be like almost endless advantages you can take. But if you use them recklessly, without like studying and having respect for them, they can cause a whole lot of harm, especially if you have an addictive personality. You could end up loving these things more than the dance itself. You could end up loving these things more than the culture itself, and that never ends well.
Yeah, and that is always the biggest danger, especially if you're not experienced with something like that. I can agree that there can be short-term benefits in terms of like unlocking creative moments and ideas. But here's the thing. Mind-altering substances, all they really do is they show you a different perspective for a moment. Tommy, you and Scotty both said that the danger really is like, becoming dependent on something like that, and you can't, like, because those things can destroy you. It can destroy your mind. What do you think the role of social media is playing with Liquid now?
It's a great place to get to know other dancers, to discover Liquid or any other dance style. Like I don't think not many people go out much, so you don't really see people like in wild. So you probably get introduced to dancing through social media first. So I think it's a great starting point, and it's a great place to meet other dancers. You can actually like talk with them in DMs and stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually, you want to go out and experience the real thing.
Where do Liquid dancers typically meet up? I mean, it's a pretty small community, so like, how does that happen through social media typically?
We've historically had a lot of events in the Midwest, either there or in the East Coast. That's where most of the Liquid dancers are.
Liquid Confluence has definitely been like the most successful and up until at least recently the most consistent, almost yearly event that takes place for Liquid, one of the few, and obviously a very important one, and that's thanks to Verb. So definitely shouts out to him for that. Scotty, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I mean, just basically building on that, like it's, so when it comes to the social media aspect of like, the getting people together, like in the case of a couple of instances of, the Dems being the most notable case, and then a couple of other music festival instances where people have gotten together. For everything else, as far as like stuff like Confluence or stuff like your event, Battle Royale, stuff like that.
Liquid Royale is the one that I collectively threw with Riz and Nick Sector in Philadelphia in 2023. That was my first ever event that I actually, threw. It was great, it was amazing, but it was so challenging. But it came together beautifully. Everybody had a great time, yeah. I'm really grateful to that experience. Your event was called Hydrodynamics, which took place in 2022, yes, in Chicago.
Yeah, and that one didn't really have a battle component. I kind of went back and forth about how I wanted to structure that, had a hard time landing on anything, and the clock was ticking, so I basically just threw just a general party and got a whole bunch of Liquid dancers together. Mm-hmm. But, and then with everything, all the confluences, I helped Verb with one of those, and he had, a series of them. And with all these things, it takes a person to actually, or a group of people, it takes a tribe sometimes, but like to actually throw, and then the events that Plain White Tom did, which, they were more all styles. But then he did the Liquid Conference, which was specifically Liquid, but still brought in other street dance styles. So like with all these things, it takes a person or a group of people to put the energy in to make the event happen. to get people to come to the event in the first place, which creates community in an organic way.
So yeah, since Distortion mentioned about events in Asia, so in Japan, guys like Nari from Osaka, Ryoga, Shapes throwing like events that's mainly about like not just liquid, but more towards tutting and also digits, finger tutting, that kind of event. And that's kind of good thing. It's not perfect for liquid event per se, but to have something that you can go and you can learn from there, you can make friends there. So if you're interested in going to events in Asia, that's a great way to start.
That was great. That was super fun, just watching all of you flow. Any final thoughts, last words, advice for anybody getting into Liquid?
I'll say that, you know, this is a good introduction right here, but understand that it's only really a tiny sliver of the entire amount of information that's out there about this dance and this culture. Treat it like a literal language. Like, you just utilize the community as much as you can. A lot of us are here to kind of guide and teach and mentor. So, but it's up to you guys to actually, you know, make the effort and open up a line of dialogue.
You want to start off learning the early stuff and understanding your history, understanding the concepts, and kind of building outwards from there.
Yeah.
Do your research, do your history, and sort of understand where everything came from and the timeline of how it got there. And then don't skimp on practice time. Just practicing your flow and putting the hours into mastering your flow. And yeah, community, as was mentioned before. Connect with people. Bounce your ideas off of people. Match yourself up against people. And if you're someone who can throw an event, throw a Liquid event. Please, we need more.
Please. Take the pressure off of us. Yeah. Kevin?
I mean, these two pretty much said most of the things. Start with the basics. If you like Liquid, stick with it. If you want to do something else, mix it with Liquid if you want. To have a foundation is the key, but it's important that you enjoy doing the dance. So enjoy dancing. Most importantly, enjoy music. Know about music. Go out. Yeah, those kind of things.
I'm gonna close all of that by just adding my own 2 cents with it. Find music that speaks to you, and find one other person to enjoy the journey with, and that's how it begins. Thank you all for joining me today. Peace, love, unity, and respect to you all. Thank you.
Amen. Thanks. Yeah, this was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.